What's up, y'all? This is your favorite host, Queen G of Queen G Live Experience. Good morning, you guys. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is 2023, and this is my first official show since the new year. I want to invite you guys in to definitely come and check out this morning show. I got a special guest coming on, actually, a special guest. I'm so excited. My special guest is Mary Angel. She'll be live with me in a few minutes. So get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. I wanted to start this morning show by asking, what did you guys, what was your first meal of the year? What was your first meal of the year? I know for me, I got up yesterday morning and made salmon croquette and rice. I saw a lot of people posting their shrimp and crawfish, and I saw a lot of people posting their what else? Their black eyed peas and things like that. So a lot of you, man, you threw down for the first day of the year. And hopefully that is a reflection of what we will be doing as we enter into this new year, 2023. I know we brought in the new year with my fam, and we had a really great time. Me and the kids and my husband, we turned up and did the champagne, and it was fun. It was fun. So hopefully you guys had a great time, and let me see. Hopefully you guys had a great time, and hopefully it's a reflection of how our year will go. You know what I mean? 2023, I can't believe we're here, but I'm grateful that I made it. Everybody didn't make it into this year. You know what I mean? So if you made it into this year, you're blessed, and you are definitely blessed to be able to get in there, get in there, get in there. You see my husband walking in the background. Just wanted to let you know he's prepping for work. So we keep it real around here. This is a streaming show super early in the morning. It's 6 a.m. Man. And if you like I am, I've been having a hard time sleeping, just with so much on my mind and so much, you know what I mean, on my brain as I enter into the new year, the new plans and the new thoughts and ideas, new ideas as I drop into the new year. And you know what? As an entrepreneur, that's what happens. That's what happens. Well, it looks like we have our special guest coming in. Let me add her in on the podcast. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Oh my God.
I had to go through some.
I know it is like it's so early. It's so early, but it's okay.
I'm so not a morning person.
I know, right? Me either.
I'm like
Well,
10 o'clock person because
right.
I sleep late. A lot of times I can't control my. I would like to go to sleep at a like decent time, but for some reason, God, like, that's the time. Like,
Right.
I don't be wanting it to be. Trust me. I'd be like, Lord, I'm ready to go to sleep, but I can't. It's like, you know, one, two, three. It'd be almost 4 o'clock, and I go to bed, and I'm like, I be
Just
trying.
now laying there and just now getting that sleep. Yeah, at that hour. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. I want to go ahead and get our sponsors out the way. That's these shades on time somewhere. You guys support the shade. Let me know if you want to get a pair. Hey, we got to get our sponsors in and get that going. This is the start of a new year. And also, when you get a chance, get a copy of my book, Queen G Media Course to Journey. It's about my media life as an entertainer. And you know what I mean? Also, go ahead and publicize the name of your book and put that out there. Mary,
You said I can't hear. How, can you
go
say?
ahead and promote the name of your book. Go ahead and put it out there. Give us the name of your book.
The one that I like now is my. It took me a year and a half to get this thing done. I don't know why, but Grandma Starla to the Rescue. That is my children's book, and I love it. I'm happy for it because you know, it took me a long time to get this children's book published.
Right, 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 right.
So I'm so
And
thankful.
let's talk about that. How not easy that is. Like self-publishing. Oh my God.
It was, and the crazy part is my publisher, she thought that it was active and going,
Right.
and some people tried to order it and it was like they never got their book. So she went back and it was just some problems, and then she had to redo the cover and formatting, and they were just, it was so icky ticky with that book. And then remind you, it's a kid's book. It's an actual whole animated book. It ain't like your regular book you could push.
Right, right, right.
It's
So it ain't easy, you guys. I'm gonna let you know, as an entrepreneur, sometimes the ideas we have in our head and the goals that we set, it don't mean that it's easy to push them. You know what I'm saying? You sometimes you have a lot of challenges, but the thing is, when you believe in yourself, you know what I mean, you go ahead and you push forward and you keep it going, and
yes,
you know what I mean, you can't give up on yourself. That's the thing.
Entrepreneurship, and especially people are, because it's a difference just being an entrepreneur and you have a product that you
Right.
just repetitiously make money off of the product that people want to buy. But when you're actually putting the ideal together, just that portion to get that done,
Yeah.
it is not for the weak. I promise you.
No. No.
It's not. It's not. A lot of people, think, oh, you got the easy way out. Because you ain't doing nothing. A lot of times I think it ain't much that you're doing, because the
Right.
work you do is not what most people consider to be work.
Right.
They think you just, hobbying or something. It's not.
It's not simple. I'll tell you that much. So
Yeah.
I want to start this interview by asking, how was your New Year?
It was wonderful. It was. I must say, it was really wonderful. It was relaxing because I made it different. There was no hustle bustle. There was no food got to get done. We wasn't watching I didn't even know it was 12 o'clock.
That's funny.
I was just busy saying Happy New Year on Facebook. I didn't even know. I missed it. I was like Don Lemon, like Lyman. Did they say he was on there? He like, is this how y'all do? He done missed the whole New Year's.
Right.
That's the first time I ever done that.
Maybe that's what you needed. You needed to take the time and bring the new year in, relaxing. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I heard a lot of people slept. You know what I mean? They slept the new year in.
Yes.
And that's okay, because sometimes we're running around so much and we don't take a moment and we don't take the time to, rest ourselves, and then we burn ourselves out. You know what I mean? So
we be burnt out, still moving and working, and burnt out
all at the same time.
you be like exhausted to the core.
Exactly.
And yet you be still pushing everything that you need to do and getting it done.
Right. Let's talk about what you got going on the start of this year. I mean, we all got some plans, and you were my first actual special guest of the new year. So thank you for coming on so early and representing this morning, this super early. I want to say that again. It's
Oh,
not.
thank you for having me. I appreciate you. This is wonderful
Definitely.
to start the year off,
What
being
are,
on
what
the
are some
show.
of your New Year's plans? Like, do you have anything on the agenda that you got going on for your book or touring or anything
Well,
like that?
yeah, I'm going to be a part of international touring, going to different countries, speaking. What I'm actually now doing is studying for my TEDx talk in Johannesburg. So that trip
Ooh,
is right now my highlight that I'm getting prepared because I leave here March 22nd and I'll be gone to the 1st of April. Um,
okay, okay, okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Then when
That's
I come,
out the country.
yeah, that's
Out the country.
it's my dream. And then I get to go to Martha's Vineyard the end of April. So as soon as I get back, the end of the month, I'll be at Martha's Vineyard. And I always wanted to go there because the Kennedys.
Right.
That's the only reason I knew about it. It was like this forbidding island for other
Hmm.
people, you
Right.
know.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. So you'll be representing and promoting your books out there, or what?
Yes. Well, when we go to Africa, we're gonna do a lot of things besides the TEDx talk. So one thing I'm glad about, I'll be an international TEDx talk speaker. So that's a milestone for me. And then the next thing I will be doing is we'll be going to the Department of Education, speaking with the Johannesburg Department of Education, and then we'll go to the schools and read our books to the students, pass out whatever. Of course, we have books that we can donate to the kids. So I'm going to be introducing my books to the children, and then we will be going to have a really wonderful dinner with the prime ministers. We just going to be doing, and then we're going to have the excursion. Then we leave there and go to Botswana. So we'll
Ooh,
be in
that's nice.
Botswana for a couple of days and then we'll come back to the States. So that, I'm definitely going to have books for the children and just some for myself to be able to give to the adults.
That's amazing. I know you're super excited.
Here, I've been getting myself prepared. I'm telling you, I'm learning stuff. I was looking
Mhm.
at Johannesburg trying to see so when I get there, I won't be oblivious to what's what. So
Oh,
I'm
you're
kind of
studying the culture and
right.
how they live and things like, because you got to do that when you travel outside the United States. You
Right,
got to study the culture and the way that it works, because you
right.
can't just go out there and be like, oh, I'm here.
I I
You
I
know what I'm
want to know where I'm at, and I want to know how to, embrace this. Especially going to Africa.
saying?
That's huge for me
Right.
because I last year Christmas, I bought a Christmas outfit to go to a Christmas reception, my cousin's wedding reception, and I bought a necklace that was a big medallion of Africa. And
Okay.
I looked at it last year and I was like, Lord, I don't know what this means to me, but I felt it.
Right.
And I just was like, it was so powerful for me. The necklace wasn't just a necklace, and I couldn't stop wearing it. And
Okay.
so I was invited to Africa back in August to Nigeria, and I got some negative reports about Nigeria, and
Okay.
and it wasn't a lot of people that I knew that was going. So
Right.
I wasn't comfortable because I didn't know none of the people. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't go because I got kind of scared because of, the women trafficking over there. So I said,
Yeah.
no, I need to be in something more secure. I didn't feel comfortable. And
Especially
so I was
traveling
like, well,
alone.
that's my opportunity.
Yeah. Especially. Oh, I see. I see.
But then when this came about, you know, I was like, oh, wait, Black authors, 40 Black authors book tour in
Yeah, I'm
Johannesburg
jumping on
for a
that.
for a TEDx talk. So I was like, Lord, I hope I get picked because they were only picking 10 authors.
Right,
So
right. Oh, wow. And you were one of the selected few. And you got to, girl, certain
I
opportunities.
was the first one. She called me and said, You was the first one we picked. I said it was God.
Mm-hmm. Certain
'Cause
opportunities, you got to go ahead and, put yourself on that situation, and you gotta jump in there. You
right,
know what I mean? It only
I haven't been used to doing that because I've been like not feeling good enough. Like, I had I have made myself decide that if it's something I want to do,
right.
even if I'm not qualified per se, I'm still going for it.
Okay. Okay.
I just
Okay.
ain't I'm not gonna allow myself to
You're
talk
gonna go
myself
ahead and
out
get
of
that experience.
it. Right.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I just ain't going. I just told myself, you gonna, instead of saying no, I don't know if I'm my, I mean, I don't think I could. I just am now telling myself, no, yes, you is, and everything I do now, because I believe in myself, it's like the door is open.
What do you think that's from?
Uh,
Like the hesitance, that you're having
well,
the
I've
talk
never been
back and
loved.
forth with yourself about confidently stepping out there. What is that? What is that from?
Well, that comes from being a kid abused and rejected as a child. I was never accepted. I was never loved. I was
Okay.
always attacked or belittled, even if it wasn't something that like they would say, oh, pick her because, she can't do nothing. I was always made to believe that someone was better than me. And when
Wow.
it was something that was bad, if something like back when I was little, my sisters and it was me and my two sisters and my aunt, because she's my age. If something they would always do something, and then get quiet and act like they didn't. So the adults immediately have to figure out who to punish. I was the person that they always came to. And I remember when it got to the point to where they just couldn't figure it out. I remember my uncle saying, "She ain't no good. She low down. She the one who would do something like that." Even though I didn't do it, I was
Right.
labeled as the one that would or capable. So I took on the mind frame as a child that I wasn't able to do things because I was the least one. I was not the pretty one. I was not the light skinned one. I just
Enough.
wasn't the
Light
person that.
skinned enough.
And I remember my uncle them
Oh
telling my
wow.
sister when she would do things and bring her homework home and have an A or whatever, he would. I noticed adults would like cheer her on, like, "Oh, that's good, you're doing good." If I did it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's good, yeah, uh-huh." Yeah, I mean,
Let me talk to you about this. This is what's interesting. This is what's interesting about that. You know, it's so much, what I mean, that happens as a child. Like you're in your home and there are things going on around you. You know what I'm saying?
yes, yep,
Trust and
yes,
believe we all feel and see our surroundings. I don't know why people don't feel as if children
understand,
feel or see their surroundings that's taking place around them. So I
right,
always, as a parent, once I became a parent, I always made sure that my kids were introduced,
uh-huh.
you understand, to positive environments. You can't be perfect. Come on now.
Right,
Come on now. We ain't perfect. Ain't nobody sitting here perfect as a parent and we got it all going on. And that's not, come on now.
right.
I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
saying that. But what you can do is try to do your best. And you can introduce your children
yep,
to the best that you possibly can, you know
right.
what I mean, in their environment. I know for me, I introduced my kids to work and
Oh, okay.
entrepreneurial
Oh, wow.
exposure, if you know what I mean. So
Right.
when they saw me, I was either traveling, hustling, writing, you know what I'm saying, working,
Yes.
doing something like that on that level. Now, it may have been a little intense sometimes. Like I said, we ain't perfect. Ain't nobody perfect.
Right. Right. Right.
But I know one thing now that my kids are older and they're in their 30s, the oldest set of kids, they definitely took on that entrepreneurial aspect, and that exposure really, really, really blessed their lives. And now they're entrepreneurs. They got their own businesses and have chosen to become entrepreneurs. And, you know, one is an engineer, one is a bus driver for the city.
I
You know
saw
what I
that.
mean?
That was
They're
really
doing pretty
cool.
good. So I feel really blessed
Oh, that is
about
really, really
what I
beautiful.
exposed them to. Because my childhood was, woo, when I tell you.
That's see what that is what you're saying is key, and I'm so appreciative that like you said, it ain't like the perfectness.
No.
What it is the dedication and commitment that you made to yourself to give your children a, a positive, a healthy trajectory on how and where they're going in their lives. And they took that and they have made that their stance to make
Right.
their lives even better than what they saw us pushing for.
It's that balance of love,
Yes,
and it's that balance of your effort. Trust me, your effort and your energy make a whole bunch of difference
it do.
in
I
a
mean, I'm
child's
talking
life.
about it doesn't matter that a lot of things that hurt our community is poverty.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the most, I know we worry about drugs, alcohol, and housing, all that stuff, but poverty is what holds our whole community back.
Right.
And what you're doing is, even despite what we have to face as African American people,
Ourselves, yeah. Yeah.
for our children, we put them in a position no matter what, because your love because I see how you love your next set of children, your babies, and how you do your babies.
Because
That
I got
right
a lot of
there is so special.
lot of generations of kids. Let's
Girl,
get going
I
to put
got
it.
the same thing going on. Trust me. I got my older children. I got a 35-year-old daughter, and I
Yeah.
have a 31-year-old son and 28-year-old, and my youngest is 20. So
Okay, so you understand.
I totally get
They
it.
come at different times, and
Right. I'm looking at myself like this kid is 9 and I'm having a baby. Am I crazy?
right.
So, I get it. But the one thing that I see that you do, that I can see that no matter what phase of your life, whether it was when you first had children, or when you're later in life with children, you give a lot of love.
Yeah.
I always see you pouring um, real love and positive and God into your family. And so I
Because
don't,
let me tell you, as a child, what I was exposed to was, and this is what we're talking about, the scars that we face. You know what I'm saying, with what we're exposed to and what's around us. What I was exposed to was physical abuse. You know what I mean? I saw my parents actually fight and physically, and that was their way of loving each other. Now, why that was, I don't know. I don't know why they felt like that was okay. You know what I mean? To
right.
to to take on with one another, and why they felt like that was the way that they had to, you know what I mean, love each other.
And that's where, because my mom was mentally ill, and I come from a family that um they're weird to me. They're very weird, strange people, because they amplify this love that don't really exist. It's
Okay.
not it, it their love is not existing, because it doesn't really rescue you from trauma that they inflict on you. um, the very people that's supposed to push, because my mom was a mentally ill in a mental institution, and I was living with my grandmother who was very, very mean and abusive, very mean.
Okay.
When I tell you she was mean, the kids in the neighborhood used to call her the redhead devil. That's how evil her behavior was, because she was an alcoholic, and she was the kind of alcoholic that was very aggressive. And you have people who happy drunks, and you have somebody like her who is very violent and very mean and vicious with her words and just her whole demeanor. And
Let's talk about how that alcoholism, you know what I mean, was a
yeah,
part of her.
and
That
that
was
was
a part
hard
of
for
her.
me, because my mother, um the last I remember, she had a nervous breakdown when I was 3.5 years old. And my mother was, she wasn't a nice lady. She was a stern mother, but she had a way of, she was a disciplinary type lady. She was very clean, she was very punctual and orderly, organized, very feisty lady, very well known and well liked, a party lady. But
Okay.
she was someone who really kept up with us, you know what I mean? And I knew I was completely loved and cared for. Um, but she had, so I went from that person protecting me. She was very, real seriously protective over us. But then she goes away, and we go to a house where this is my grandmother,
It's a
her
whole
husband.
nother extreme. It was a whole nother extreme from one
It was a night.
extreme to the
Let me
next.
tell you something, girl. If I could go back and scream and fight to not go with them, if I could have committed a crime as a kid to go to jail, to go not in that house, I would have been safe in a jail cell. That's the horror.
That's how hard it was.
It was so bad. I'd rather listen. I was safer in the streets with a stranger than in a house with them people. Them people was the devil. Do you hear me? They were the most cruel, demonic, awful people that existed in this life to me.
Let me ask you this. Did you know that as a child? Like, did you feel?
Yeah.
Because
I was,
again,
listen,
people think that kids are
don't
just,
know. Listen,
you know,
I was
random.
I was scared. I lived in fear in that house. Do you know how you know about your kids be scared of stuff?
Yeah,
The fear that you'll know when your kids are afraid, because kids show fear in a different way than adults do.
right.
And so, because our fear is a helpless fear, we cannot protect ourselves. We be looking to the adult to protect us and express. So when we feel fear, we need help. I was in a place of constant fear because they were violent. My grandmother took an axe handle and bust my grandfather in the head. He took it and bust her in the head. Do you know how much trauma that is to watch two old people bust each other in the head and like bleeding?
Right.
Listen, my granddaddy walked in the house 1983 New Year's Eve. We always would sit in front of the TV, me and my aunt and my sisters, and we be, dancing to Dick Clark's The Ball Dropping, New York. So we're here. He knocks on the door because she threatened him that he better be home by the time New Year's come. So he knocked on the door. We opened it, and he said, "Happy New Year." And she took a Heinz ketchup bottle and bust him in the head, and he fell out on the chair. And we were like, "He's dead." Do you know we really believed he was dead? And we was on the phone desperately trying to reach my uncle and my mother to tell them that she killed him.
And
And
that's traumatic. That's traumatic for a child to watch and to experience and to see. right in front of them. How do you recover from that?
You know what? I never have. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I just lived through it. You know what I'm saying? I was so, I used to be so glad and was just waiting for the day that I was an adult. And I used to, and that's sick to me. You know why? Because those people, my uncle had the audacity. My favorite uncle, who was the only person in our family that I felt as a child was like safe and that cared and really loved me. Um, Now he done flipped it because he don't like the truth about his mother and
Right.
his father
Right.
and how his other siblings treated me and us. I don't care. I got to, I'm like, are you kidding me? Ask yourself, why didn't you let your child come over? He never let his kids be babysitted by his mother because the lady carried a 38 in her house dress every day. And she drunk Wild Irish Rose every day until she died. So to live in a house where everybody's drunk all the
Yeah.
time and it's a party house and you get molested by my grandmother and my grandfather, which I don't care no more because the world gonna know because I'm prosecuting this person.
Right. Okay.
They shared a woman together. For me as a child, walking into a house when my mother lost her mind, walking into this strange house with this lady that's supposed to be my grandmother, and she got a girlfriend, her and her husband is in the bed with a lady together. Don't ever, I'm like, don't ever don't ever disown me because I disown y'all because I have to get that junk out of my head
Right.
that I lived with for so
Basically,
long.
it sounded like you needed counseling. You needed to be
I
as
needed to be,
somebody's
listen,
counselor.
CPS
Yeah.
is no good. You know, they are the biggest abusers of children that will ever exist
Right.
because I didn't get in her house. My nobody put me there. I was put in that house when my mother had a nervous breakdown. Like I said, when I was a child, my mother lost her mind when I was 3.5 years old. Somebody put a Mickey in her drink, and overnight there was this woman that was just talking to herself. I knew as a 3-year-old that that wasn't okay. I
That
didn't know.
wasn't, yeah, that wasn't normal.
I didn't, but I knew that that wasn't normal. But
And you
when
can't tell them send me somewhere else at 3.
and the
You know what
crazy
I'm
part, I didn't even
saying?
know where I was going because all I know is that my mother tried to kill a social worker that came to see why my sister wasn't coming to preschool. Well, I knew the social worker was off because she's talking to my mother about how important it is for my sister to go to school. And my mother, the whole time she's there, my mother is literally talking to herself. She was
So
talking to
your
the
sister wasn't
voices.
attending your sister wasn't attending school regularly?
Right. She was in preschool, and the social worker came by to let her know that she was concerned and, let her know how important it was for her to go to school. But while you're talking to this lady, I'm thinking to myself, while I'm sitting on the couch watching this play out, she ain't even you talking, and she's talking to the invisible person or people.
Right. And
And
a
I knew
reminder
that was
again,
strange.
guys.
And
let's
and once
let's let's talk about again childhood scars, the pain from being exposed to
yes.
those type of things. And again, here you are as a grown adult and still reliving the memories of those things. You know what I mean? You ain't forgot. You ain't dumb.
Actually, it enhanced the older I get of because I'm always trying to understand what I
Yeah.
need to do to be a better person. I'm always confronting things that trigger me that I don't know is a trigger.
Well,
you
it
know.
sounds like you spent a lot of years in pain, but also trying to cover it up.
That's what I've been doing my entire life. My entire life, I've been trying to live, trying to learn how to live a life that should be normal.
Right.
Because I lived a life of a drunk, of drunk household, a drug addict. My uncle and them was on drugs for uh, over 30 years. I lived with everybody was on crack. Their daddy was on
Mm.
heroin and a drunk. My grandmother was a straight drunk. The entire family was nothing but drug addicts and drunks. And welfare was a way of life. You know, my mother is a
That was
third
a part of
generation.
your regular
That's
MO.
normal. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
watch them, you know, excel in their life. I didn't watch them do nothing but fuss, fight,
Okay.
drink, and get
Love you.
and end up with a lifestyle of drug addiction that they've been, you know, God has blessed my one uncle to get free. And then I've, you know, I have another uncle that, you know, got himself together. But I'm just saying, like, watching, you know, being in a household that all I'm doing is trying to, once I get an adult, I'm trying to learn and live the way. And that wasn't easy because it was a chore to me. It was a
Right.
chore on how to every day successfully not become them.
And you became a parent yourself.
I was pregnant at 12.
Right. That's
And
not
that
normal.
right
That's
there
not.
is
Wow.
sickening, that let you know that these people was not paying attention. They wasn't parenting. It wasn't even no parenting going on in that house. You were on your own. Nobody cared what you was doing. They was so busy being drunk and crazy. They didn't care what was going on with you. I ain't never had them care about my school or
I
nothing.
can relate to that because I was a teen mother. I was pregnant by the time I was 14. And I had my second child by the time I was 16. The second one. You hear me?
I'll trust. I was a teen mother to the second baby before I
Yeah,
got out of foster care. I was pregnant
right.
with my son, you know. So here I am toting around two babies.
Two kids, yep. And you are a parent and you ain't even full on adult yourself. You ain't experienced life. You ain't even driving yet.
My childhood was gone. I did not get to have my childhood. I got to have a lot. I had to negate out of their evil behavior to just survive. It was a wonder that I made it. I'm talking about just to not die in the midst of their wickedness, you know, and just to
No
be a
wonder you
kid
were
who
no
don't
wonder
have no
you were
direction.
we started the show with talking about self-esteem, confidence, and things like that. No wonder you were questioning those type of things because look at what you were exposed to and what was around you like it was a normal thing. That's not, that's not normal. That's not
And
regular.
listen, I don't remember ever being in first grade in my grandmother's house. She's my uncles or my grandmother or grandfather ever did any. They ain't never helped me with my homework. They ain't never went to my school play or my school, or even my grandma ain't never went to my school except to sign me up, and she never went back. I remember being a little kid scared, but this lady made me walk. I had the responsibility of walking myself to kindergarten.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Do you know how frightening that was?
In a big world at
You know who used to
that
protect
age.
me? Strangers that was taking their kids to school, and they would come on, little girl, come here.
Because you went out there by yourself.
They knew I wasn't supposed to be, but you know, she was drunk. She had
Yeah.
no parenting skills whatsoever. My grandmother's never parented me. She's just abused me.
Right. So
I
how do you, let
I
me ask
even
you
had
this.
an issue with food because
How do
she was not
you,
feeding us.
how do you deal with forgiveness in
Um,
this time? How do you, have you come to a space of forgiveness? Are you walking? What's your whole thought about that in this?
well, um, because when I was young, when I was 17 and I was in foster care and I gave my life to Christ, best thing in the world ever happened to me is saying yes to God, even though I didn't know what God was. Or was he? I always thought he was worse than them because why would you? You know what I mean? If they bad, you got to be worse. You know, I had a really funky, nasty perception because I was tired of abuse. And so once I gave my life to God and I began to understand that this is life, I could have a part of the normal life. I did forgive all of them, and I was always trying to ignore what happened and just push past it and be this good, nice person, you know, forgiving, loving, never holding anybody accountable because I'm learning. So now here I am after from 17 to 49. I've been the
So
nice, I've,
your
I've been,
awareness for forgiveness was through the grace of God, through his love and his mercy and his forgiveness. Because he teaches us those things. God teaches us when you become a Christian and you take on um, Christ-like ways, if
right,
you know what I mean. Those are the ways that he teaches us that we're supposed to be like,
right,
if you know what I mean. Christian like ways require you to be nice and gracious and forgiving and
loving all the
loving.
time.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that was then. This a whole nother different me. And I'm not, you know, I've always been nice to my family. I've always treated them with respect despite what I ever suffered. When I first wrote my first book, it was a very weak version of what happened. Matter of fact, wasn't to me, it wasn't even worth printing.
Yeah.
But out of the obedience to God, it was printed, it was ghost written because it was too painful for me to write. And I didn't want to offend anyone in my family because my grandmother is deceased. And I know that that's their mother, my mom's mom. So I was so cautious to be respectful. So what I did is God gave me relative, right? So I did that. And the book it really just only talked about you know, instructions and just giving examples of how and why you need to pay attention to your children. And when you find out your children have been hurt or is in a bad position that could lead them to being molested or whatever, you are responsible to pay attention. And if it's somebody you love, like your brother, your cousin, your best friend, or your grandfather or whoever, you do not put them above that child. You
Right.
make the victim important and you do what you have to do to stop this person. And so that's all my book was about. Well, my uncles and different people heard about it, never read the book, just heard about it, came up
Okay.
with ideas that I'm talking bad about their their mother or them. And let me tell you something. They went as bad as to say, don't ever even mention my name. So you know what? I done came to a place to where I said, okay, cool. We don't have to, I'm okay with that.
Right.
But you gonna be accountable. See, forgiveness does not take away people's accountability. And that's
Wow.
the part that I'm never going to give to people. I'll give you grace and mercy because I'm not going to attack you, but you will be accountable for what you've done. You will have to
Or,
deal with the
how did
consequences
you
like me.
When your grandmother passed away, in what way did that affect you?
Truthfully, the truth, I was glad she was gone. That's the truth. And I hate to say that, but I'm going to say what I felt when I was 12 years old. I didn't want that to happen because
No,
when she was
I need to know for the
when,
sake of our audience and for people that are watching the show that have also suffered childhood scars and pain and issues, molestation, and you know what I mean, abuse and things like that. I need to know
no,
what was your true feeling about her. You know what I mean, after putting you through those years of pain and suffering. Um, how did you feel?
I was glad. Only thing bothered me is the sadness that it brought to everybody. My mother, the only reason why I cried is because my mother cried.
Okay.
I didn't want my mother to be in pain. To see
Mhm.
people, my aunt who loved my, I had aunt, a family member who was not a part of what she did, that didn't even know that her lover's son, that she allowed him to molest me for 3 years right in her house, knowing it. And so,
So your sadness was
my
that they were
mom's,
not aware of what she took you through. And it was just like, hey,
well,
I'm
and I
so
think
upset.
they knew what she put us through, but
Yeah.
because she was one thing I learned about people who are very abusive and they are in a powerful position, people will endorse their wickedness because of who they are.
Oh, I see.
So my grandmother was
That's
allowed to
true.
get away
That
with her.
statement is so true that you just said. You could be twisted and messed up, and if you're, seen and admired by
Right.
many, you know what I'm saying?
But you Uncle Ray Ray, so Uncle Ray Ray just he just will cuss you out, or
Right.
Uncle Ray Ray will go upside your head, or we give them passes to be no
That's
good.
so, oh my God, Mary, that statement you just made is so powerful. You know why? Because there are so many people walking around in the world that are admired because of their position. But yet,
They low down.
yeah, they're very low down. They're very evil. They're very, you know what I mean? They don't care.
And guess who
Two
get to be
different
the victim?
extremes.
If you in their pathway, if you the niece, if you the grandmother, and you the grandchild. When grandma, my grandmother told me, I never forget this as long as I live.
Mhm.
I went up to the side of the stove because I was hungry. It was early in the morning. Our kids wake up and they like, I just said, Grandma, can I have something to eat? And she said, don't you ever call me grandmama. My name is Nobi. You don't never call me grandma. And you know what? When she said that, and girl, her the way her demeanor, because I'm
Right.
little. Let me tell you something. I was glad I didn't have to call her grandmama because she wasn't worthy to be called that. She was a very wicked woman, and she was
Mm.
very mean and nasty. That's the person that I grew up with. But when she was sick, when I was 12, she was, well, 11, she got sick and she was in the hospital. So the person that I knew that was crazy, mean, nasty, drunk all the time, cussing everybody out, I learned how to cuss from her. All the bad stuff that I learned. This person now is in the hospital, no access to liquor. So I find out that she actually is a good lady.
Okay.
So I find out that she actually was, she really was a beautiful person. And that's the horror of being a child in a place where an adult is allowed by other adults to be no good, and everybody accepts this person and embrace them instead of doing what the Bible says, and that means shun them.
Right. So in what space are you in today?
Well, now because I'm now doing something that's not easy, but it's easy to me now because I have dealt with a lot of children and people in the community that I fight those type of people for people.
Okay,
So
so now you're an advocate. Ooh,
yeah, I
I
have an
love it.
advocacy agency, professional advocacy, in Milwaukee,
Hmm.
Wisconsin, and I work with all type of victims. I got elderly people that got this elderly woman is got one child, and this girl dogs her mama, dog walks her mama all the time, and this lady don't got nobody. She has to put up with this girl. So what I did is
About that.
okay. What I did is I became a power of attorney to protect this lady from this vicious daughter. So, what I do is I help people put these people out their life at
Okay.
whatever extent. So now I am getting ready to prosecute tomorrow. I meet with the detectives at
Wow.
4 o'clock, and I'm going to prosecute the person that my grandmother and grandfather allowed to molest me, knowing it, their girlfriend's son, that their lover, because my grandmother and grandfather, as I say, most people be like, what? Yeah, I saw three people having sex in the bed. I saw three people laying in the bed together many a days. Her son was given a permission almost to me, because when you know somebody is raping your grandbabies and you know it, my
Yeah.
grandmother was
You're
so
just
evil.
guilty. You're
You know,
just guilty.
I'm gonna tell you what made me not respect my grandmother. After she learned when I was 5 that my body was messed up and that I had been molested, because the doctors had declared I'd been molested, she took her child out of the living room with us, where we slept on a let-out couch together, and put her in the room with her to protect her, leaving me victim to the same animal. So that's when,
Right.
so can't nobody tell me nothing about that lady, because the truth is that lady was the reason why all of this stuff continued to be, and she knew it and did not care. At one point, she tried to pretend like, she came at that caring moment to help, but when she realized that my uncle, who's now deceased, was not going, back her, she then put me in a position that you need to deal with it. So I did. And right now, because I have to go to court, go through the process of prosecuting this man, me and my sister, actually, my sister is going to join me, my older sister. Um, all of the things that happen, because not only did this man rape us, but he is the rapist to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, their project called Hillside.
To
He,
many, you're saying he's a rapist to many. It's not just
he's a serial rapist, because
serial rapist,
he
basically.
he raped so many women and children in that project that they named him the Hillside Rapist.
Ugh.
And it's a cold case here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because they put a sketch out when I was a little girl of who he was. I always tried to tell, but nobody listened, because back in those days you had to be quiet, because if
Right,
you
right.
said something,
You
I remember when
things
I tried to tell
under
on him
the
the first
carpet.
time,
Yeah, they didn't.
they
They didn't
shut me
want things
down.
out there.
They
Yeah,
told
yeah.
me, you better keep your mouth closed, because you're a little kid and you talk too much. So I was silenced a lot. But I just gave the police the house that the place that they lived. I took a picture of their house, the outside of their house, the address. I took a picture of where he was raping the women at, because I remember him going. I used to be in their house when he would take off and go outside, and start hunting in the nighttime for victims. And
Well, I am.
sometimes he would be out
I
there
am
for
so
hours.
sorry that you went through that and that you faced those type of pains and problems and issues. And I'm praying that as you move forward in prosecuting, that will be a part of your healing, and that, you know what I mean, it would allow some of the healing to take place. Now, what you went through, child, let me tell you, woo. When we were talking about this as we were preparing for the show, it's just traumatizing.
It is. You know,
no way to sugarcoat it or
right.
push it away. It ain't. No, like when I tell you, it's painful and it's traumatizing, and it takes time to recover from something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So thank God you're advocating for children now. Thank God you're putting those energies into, you know what I mean, other things that will help to try to, you know what I mean?
Right. And that's why I'm doing it.
Help you get away from that. But whoa.
I'm doing it for another reason is that when I face a lot of victims and I never have an answer to their pain. You know what I'm saying? I just have tools for them to not get stuck in, a lot of times people go to drugs, all kind of other crazy things because they can't handle it. And most Black people do not get counseling. We were taught that if you get counseling, you ain't right. You crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was always, you don't need that. And so I faithfully make sure I get counseling. I just get spiritual counseling opposed to secular counseling. Sometimes I get secular counseling, but I found it not to be worth much for me. I get more out of spiritual counseling than I do secular. So, but what I do know is that a lot of people are having to choose not to prosecute or not to make people accountable, and they have to walk away with their life. And that part of that injustice just everybody has built you to let it go.
Let me ask you this. This is because we're actually at the end of the show. Do you believe that? We're at the end of the show. It was so like deep. Like it got here quick. I can't even believe I didn't looked up and we are at the end of our hour already. What would you say to someone that has also put their childhood scars under the carpet and have hidden, you know what I mean, their emotion and feeling and issues from experiencing some of those childhood traumas and pain? What would you say to them? What advice would you give to someone like that you met?
They have to deal with it. It's not going away. If you don't deal with it, it's going to get worse, because that is what develops mental illnesses. That's it keeps you vulnerable. It keeps you in a place of always hiding to prove, or making it some type of proof that you better, that you got over it. And you really don't know that you got over it until you deal with it. You don't really know that you are okay until you face that which you have never faced. So
it's a fly in my face. I don't know. You see me fan is because I'm like, golly, why is there a fly? I'm sorry. We keeps it real on the Queen D Live Experience, okay? So there was a fly. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I know, girl. Look, the dog came and got in the bed, and he looked over at me. I'm like,
we are ending. I promise you, we are ending the end of the show. We are getting to the
yeah, but that's what I would tell the people. I would. You have to deal with it, because And it's not to hurt nobody. It's that you have to be completely cleansed from
Okay.
that so that you can really allow God and the things that he, because sometimes you can't even get the real gifts that you have inside of you. You can't really get to grow and blossom because it's something that was keeping it back. And until you get that junk out, and clean out your house, clean out your heart, and clean out your mind and your soul from all this stuff, you really can't grow like you would want because that stuff is always there. You know how
It's
you got
always
something
there.
in the
Yep.
closet that
It doesn't go away.
even
Or
if you can't see it, everything all pretty and clean, but you know if you open that closet, it's a mess.
and my advice as we close would be watch what you expose your children to. Um, they're not stupid.
Nope.
They understand exactly what's going on around them.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
understand that your children are aware of their surroundings.
Right.
That's my advice. That's my advice. I
No,
know
that's
that's
real talk.
simple.
That is real.
That's simple, but you know what I mean? Don't act like I could just do any old thing and then expect that to just go away out of a child's life and that they're not going to understand and be aware of their surroundings. I got a son, bottom line. I got a son that has cerebral palsy. You know what I mean? And his cognitive is delayed and it's behind. But guess what? That boy's so smart.
Right.
He understands exactly what's going on. If someone was to come and try to threaten me or do something, he'll understand
He
exactly what's
knows right
happening. He
away.
know. Don't get it twisted.
Right. Right. And see,
You know
that's
what
the
I'm
part.
saying?
Children, just because they're not developed to the stature where we feel that they are mature enough, you don't know at what age. I used to know I could see danger that they couldn't see.
Yeah.
I could
Especially
I
you.
could
You were
watch
pregnant by
somebody,
12. You
that I
knew.
knew was a thief in the house. You know how you look up and be like, my money is missing. I was a little bitty girl, was dismissed because I was a little kid, but I would see them trying to steal,
Right.
and I knew what
So
that was.
that's my advice. You guys listen, this is your special host, Queen G of Queen G Live Experience. This is my special guest, Miss Mary Angel. Give us any promotional things that you want to put out there, any books, any if you want to give the titles of anything that you have or that you're working on, please go ahead and state that right now as we get ready to close.
Well,
Uh,
right now I am, my books are all on Amazon. You can find me. My name is actually Godella Mary Petty. I just, go by the stage name of Mary Angel because it's easy for me. But right now, basically the books I have out, I done put a pause on it because this part of my agency has to be delivered.
right.
This, in order for me to keep working with children and people suffering trauma, I got to face this thing so that I can be able to better have a better approach when I
But
deal
all
with
your books are on Amazon
all my
at this
books is
time.
on
Okay.
Amazon under Godella Petty. You can find them on Amazon. And I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Um, the office is professional advocacy, and the number is 414-554-1311. If anybody, need to talk or need resources to where to go, if you not it's safe or feel endangered, or I have children that want protection and
Right.
don't know how to say help me. So I've worked with, I started a literacy program for children that were experiencing some form of abuse through their parent because their parents was in a domestic relationship, and we never think about what the effects is on the child. We get the
Right.
parent help, but the child is still left with the scars. So I started working with the children and started them writing their own stories and made the Proud Young Writers so that the children can be able to release and give their minds freedom to think and live again and imagine, because children live based on imagination. That's the whole point of being a child, is
Oh
being
yeah.
able to have this beautiful, innocent imagination
Well,
to, to
I wanna take the moment and time and thank you for coming on and talking about so much, so openly and candid, and this early as well. I know it's like super early, like what 6 in the morning.
but it was worth
You,
it. I thank you for having me. I love you and I thank God for you. Um, just,
aw,
having me, to come, because, we've been through some things together. We made it through some things together.
woo,
Yeah. Thank
who
God,
you telling?
and God has, we had to hold on together.
Yeah, and I believe that this year of 2023 it's going to be our year,
Yes.
of launching and breaking through in some areas. So, continue, keep up the good work, lady. I would say keep up the good work. I know the fight ain't easy.
No.
Um, and the mission is not easy. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, sometimes we go through things so we can you know, be the one to advocate and push in
Right.
those areas. I believe I went through a lot of stuff that I went through because this talk show situation is like being a counselor.
Right. No,
It's like being
seriously.
a counselor is not that simple all the time. So um we go through for a reason. Our life is, you know what I mean,
Right. It's for
impacted in a
others.
specific way for a reason. So you just gotta keep your head up and keep going and keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? And just understand when you're an advocate, you're not loved by everybody.
No, I actually, girl, I'd have been
You're not
threatened with
loved by everybody. We found that
no.
out. So it ain't always easy, but you can do it. You
Right.
can do it. And you're on a path and on a journey, you know what I mean, for many others. So and that's the part that's not easy. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But I love you and I thank
Love
you
you
for being
too,
a
and thank
special
you.
guest
Happy New
on
Year
my
to you.
show.
We on our
Happy
journey.
New Year, Queen. And be blessed. And I will see you next time, okay?
Okay. God
All
bless
right.
you all.
All right. Peace, y'all.
God bless.